So it's another live stream, guys. It's another live stream. My God, I'm knocking them out the park. I'm knocking them out the park. Yeah, so live stream, guys, you know how this works. It's me and it's you, and post some comments. I'm not sure if anyone will drop in. I know Norliss says they can maybe, participate. Anyone else who's watching, welcome to get in touch with me via whatever, Discord, Twitter. Twitter's probably the easiest place. Yeah, and then I can get you in on the stream. But I've been scouring the tinterwebs, the good old World Wide Web, and I've been looking at some news. So rather than do lots and lots of different videos about news today, I thought I would talk about them all in this live stream. But we can, talk about some other things which aren't, which I haven't really looked at already. If you bring up some other news which I haven't discovered myself, I can. Yes, I can cover it as well. You know the drill. So, beautiful H2O. Yes, if you're watching the stream, guys, please do say hello. Please say hello. Oh, I can't talk. Please do say hello. Yeah, we'll see what happens. What normally happens, and I do say this a lot, what normally happens is it takes maybe sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes until people start dropping by. It's just the way that YouTube works with regards to notifications and things like that. But I'm sure some people will drop by very soon. Right. Oh, I think I left monetization on. That's not good. That's going to hold people back. Okay. Get this off. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, there's a number of stories. I'll wait a few minutes. I'm going to wait a few minutes before I start, just to allow some people to get to drop by, and then I'll cover some of the news stories that I wanted to cover. And this is the thing about cryptocurrency. There is news every single day of the week. But it's content overload. That's one of the problems that that I've got on my end, and I'm sure you guys do as well. If you want to cover, if you want to read about cryptocurrency, there's a lot of filler content out there by blogs and websites, etc. And you kind of need to sift through it all to try and work out what's relevant, what's not relevant, and some blogs will just they have to fill up pages, so they'll post a lot of content which isn't really interesting to the average guy on the street. Right. Now I've got a lot of news stories here waiting to go, hot off the press and all that. I just want to quickly check Reddit. Now, Reddit is somewhere I check every now and then as well, just to check news. Sometimes I get really good news from here. Other times, not so much. Right, so residents in Manila, Philippines, to be paid in Ethereum. Yeah, this is one of those things. It's like it's a story, but it's like a non-story, really. Someone being paid in cryptocurrency. There's stories like that every single day. And I realize this all contributes to mass adoption, but it's hardly anything to get excited about. Taiwanese giant Asus announced that it's entered in a partnership with a GPU mining platform. I covered that last week. They're slow. I've actually beat Reddit here. I've beat Reddit. I did a video about that last week. G20 wants unified crypto regulation and taxation. Now, this could be very important. I didn't see this before. So I'm going to take a note of all the articles that I refer to in the video, so that anyone who's watching the video later can read about it. They can check out the article themselves, follow along and all that. You'll see it in the description area. You'll see a note of all the articles. Okay. So what have we got here? Leaders of the G20 group gathered in Buenos Aires. Look at that. Look how dodgy that is. That's very dodgy. Right, so I can't read that. I hate websites like that. I absolutely hate websites like that. So whoever this website is, Ethereum World News, I'm going to actually remove that from the description here, because I can't recommend websites that have got viruses and malware and all that. So yeah, I can't talk to you about that story, guys. I hate websites like that. I hate websites that accept advertisements like that. Just completely redirects your website into some shitty pop-up website thing. YouTube's monopoly cause for concern. Is blockchain the answer? That's the thing. You know, I talked about this a little bit in Vegas with Seth Estrada. Seth works with the BitTube team. And it's one of those things. I do realise that YouTube has a monopoly. I do realise that. I do realise that we do need more alternatives. We do need more alternatives. I think the only really serious alternative and the only one that could really put up a fight is Twitch, and they're not really an alternative per se right now. They've kind of cornered the gaming world, but they're not a viable alternative for non-gamers right now. And you do have things like Vimeo, which I think they're struggling as well, and then Dailymotion, etc. But YouTube is still where it's at. Facebook is pirate's paradise, but I think everyone is waiting for something to rival YouTube here. I'm not so sure that blockchain is the solution to this, though. I really don't. I know that, you know, centralized websites are not popular right now, but I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that that a blockchain is the solution here. I'm really not. Hi, Jonathan. I found a pool that's different. Zpool.ca. Mine any coin, get paid in Bitcoin like Litecoin Dash. I used Zpool about a year ago. I've actually still got like $5-10. They've probably, you know, cleared my slate there. I used to use them because they're one of the first pools, several months ago. They were included in Awesome Miner as one of the default pools. So I used to profit mine to Zpool. Hi, Paul. Yeah. Why is that not doing the... Right, hold on just now. I'm not sure. I was wondering what was going wrong. See, I don't know if you noticed that there. See, when I was going from there to there, it was quite harsh. What I want to do is make it nicer. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Should I do a slide? Is a slide more professional? Is it more professional? Nah, I think I'll just go with fade. Less offensive. Check out new AMD Wild Rig Multi 0. For Raven. I've not got an AMD setup. This is a new script for mining X16R? Is that right? To go back to what I was kind of touching upon there as far as YouTube goes, we see stories like this a lot, and I realise that if you don't support services like BitTube, then you can't criticise, maybe you're part of the problem rather than part of the solution. But I don't think that all these kind of smaller setups, certainly ones that are trying to do it with crypto, I really don't think they've got the setup, and they've not got the financial backing to set up a huge hosting service. Video hosting is incredibly expensive. Amazon are in a very good position with their Amazon S3 kind of setup. They've got a lot of servers, so they're in a good position. Maybe a super huge hosting company were in a good position to do it, but I don't know. I really don't think that blockchain is the answer at this time. I really don't. I do, I would like an alternative. Facebook have proven to be assholes when it comes to content creators. They allow people to steal content. But yeah, as far as them having a monopoly, I don't know. I don't think blockchain is the answer. Certainly not right now. I've not seen any solutions that look like they're going to, make things better. How is everyone anyway? Good. Have a good weekend. So I've got a couple of announcements I want to go through. I've got a lot of news stories, and rather than do lots and lots and lots of different videos, I'm going to do it all in this live stream. So join me in this journey. So we'll talk about a lot of different things. The AMD well rig thing, I can bring that up if you want, Jonathan. If you want, I can bring that up. So this was posted about 5 or 6 hours ago. Saw a lot of people posting about this. And this is about Nvidia's upcoming flagship GPU, the Titan RTX. I've kind of just summarized, I've kind of looked at some tweets and all that about it, about what this is all about, but I've not read this particular article yet. I just took a note of it. Oh man, these websites, too many advertisements. A bunch of social media personalities have teased the Titan RTX. Okay. We still don't know the date, the specs, or the price. I saw someone talking about $2,500. I'm not sure if that's true. But we can take a guess at all three. The Titan RTX will pack 72 RT cores and 12GB of GDDR6. Right, see, I'm saying that. I'll try and find an alternative tweet. I saw a tweet on Twitter there from, I think it was Hardware Canucks. I'll see if I can find that. And he said it was different. He said it was 24GB of RAM. So I'm going to bring up that tweet, because that's saying different from what... I'll just take a note of this so you guys can see it yourself. Yeah, the tweet that I saw from Hardware Canucks actually contradicts what's being posted there. So, I mean, this is always going to happen when it's something new. No one really knows for sure. But they're saying the Titan RTX will likely pack 72 RT cores and 12GB of GDDR6 memory, according to previous leaks. Now, Hardware Canucks come out, and they're a really good YouTube channel. They've come out and said it's 24GB of GDDR6. Boost clock 1770, CUDA cores 4608, Tensor cores 576, RT core 72, that's the same. 280 watts TDP, that's, it's a big power draw. And they're saying it's $2,500. I don't know where they're getting that from. At this point, you're going to have to take this with a pinch of salt. Hey Norliss, how's it going, mate? Again, if Norliss or anyone else wants to jump onto the stream, please do let me know. Yeah, so I'm not sure who's right there, but it seems to be quite consistent there as far as 72 RT cores. It could be 12 gig or 24GB, but $2,500. I don't think this is a card that anyone's going to buy for mining. I very much doubt that. I think this is more of a video editing powerhouse, or someone is just crazy about gaming and willing to spend however much money they can and just get the best that's out there. For those wondering, if you're looking for a double precision boost, look to the Titan V. This card still has cut down DP ops versus the 6.9. Right, Titan RTX seems built for tensor ops. Very, very expensive. Very expensive, guys. I don't imagine any of us will be... I don't think any of us will be jumping out to buy that right away. If any other... Norliss said he's going to jump on and join me on the stream. If any of you guys want to do the same, please do let me know. I'll just jump to that just now, Jonathan. If you guys want to join in, you can do so via your phone if you want, but you would have to watch the stream via your laptop or tablet or something else, something different. So what I'm going to do, I'm trying to copy all the news stories so that you've got them down below. In the description area, just for reference, so that anyone watching the stream can see it. Right, so Jonathan, hi Jason. So Jonathan shared this. So this is Well-Rig Multi. I've never used any version of this. I stopped mining X16R a few months ago. So mining all of these algorithms that Well-Rig Multi support isn't the same thing as mining Kryptonite or Ethereum. These algos more power consuming. These algos more power consuming and core intensive, especially something like X16R. So please make sure that your PSUs are good enough. I was ready to say PC. GPUs are rock stable and voltage for them are set well. Right, supported algorithms. Wow, that supports a lot of different... I thought this was only for X16R. This supports a lot of different algos. It's been a while. Like, how do these compare as far as hash rates go? Jonathan, is there any particular algo here that this script is, giving a boost? Is it punching above its weight for any particular algo? It does cover a lot of different ones. You've got all the X ones there down there. But also, let me see. I've not mined half of these ones, if I'm honest. I don't know if I've mined that one before, and I think I've mined this one at one point. But the rest of them I haven't. Do you know if there's a boost from that? Right, I'll just set up the interview type software type thing. I'll get Norliss on. When did you join in there, Norliss? Did you see me talking about the Nvidia? Oh, right, hold on. There's an update to the video software. Hopefully it's not going to crash anything. Actually, doing a software update for a video script while streaming is very, very risky. There's a good chance it's going to manually close down something. If it does, then I'm an idiot. Support for new RTX. Hey, Chaos. Right, so, okay, so this has got support for the new RTX. So this will do what, the 2070 Ti, 2080 Ti, 2080. Right, okay. Just double check everything is okay. Okay. Right. Norliss is going to join the party soon. Norliss is going to join the party. Hey, Delaney. So, are you there, Norliss? Not sure if he's joined yet. Has he? I need to check this.
Yes. I don't know if you can.
Oh, can everyone hear? Yep. How's it going, mate?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. You caught me on the hop because when I said to you earlier on I wasn't going to go out, I did go out, and
managed to do some shopping.
I'm going to have to mute the sound on the YouTube stream because I'm getting a bit of
yeah. You're better muting it
and turn the volume up again. You seem like you've gone over from Volvic now, Kev. Every time I see the water, it's always Nestle.
I'm a sellout. I bought a huge amount of. I don't like the bottles. The bottles are terrible as well. I need to go back to Volvic. I need to go back to my roots.
Are they those really flimsy, thin ones that every time you drink or you grab hold of it crinkles and you just keep thinking?
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. Jason said your audio is quite low. Now I can boost it this end if you want, or I don't know if you want to put the gain up your end.
Yeah, there's a chance that it is because I just went flying in then and didn't.
Looking at the levels, you're a little bit lower than me, but not by too much. Is that a little bit better now, guys? How does it sound? Yeah, I mean your microphone's good. It's just maybe the audio level. I can boost it.
Hold on a sec. I'm sure. Wait a minute.
Let me see.
I've just turned the gain knob up a little bit. I don't know if that's made a difference. Obviously, we're a bit by the seat of our pants here because ordinarily we get all this rigged up before we go live, don't we? And
yeah. I'm winging it. I'm winging it today.
Winging it.
Yep. So I've got a huge amount of news stories. Kind of. There you go. Thanks, Jason. Can you see the comments as well, Norliss?
Yes, I can see the comments. Yeah, I've done what I normally do. I've positioned a Zoom thingy blocking the video, and I can see the comments. So no, the first thing I heard you talking about was this 2080 RTX thing. And I was going to say that it's quite interesting because if from what I could gather, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just a rumor from Hardware Canucks. It's not actually confirmed. Is that right? There's a lot of rumors going out. Right. Because it's interesting because when they being Nvidia unveiled the new 20 series cards and everybody collectively gasped at the pricing.
That was one of them.
Yeah, well, a lot was said of the 2080 Ti at the price of it, saying, well, actually, don't think of this really like the 1080 Ti, excuse me, but this is really a replacement for the Titan, and it's the 2080 is really the equivalent of the 1080 Ti.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people saying the same, and before the Titan V was like $2,500.
Yeah, but if this product does come out, well, it kind of shoots a torpedo through that now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And well, that's the thing. The price of it.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not sure. Like, there seems to be a little bit of conflicting information already. It says here on Engadget they don't have any news about price. Hardware Canuck said say hello to the $2,500 Titan RTX, but I'm not sure where he's getting that from. Maybe he's just basing it on, he's got a comment underneath saying, well, on the positive side, it's $500 less than the Titan V. Jonathan is saying it's 12 gigabytes, which is kind of what Engadget is saying. I'm not sure who's right, Jonathan. There's a few different articles saying 12 gigabytes. Hardware Canucks has got, because he's got a huge YouTube channel, he's got some good connections in the industry as well. So, but obviously Engadget do. So, I don't know. It could be either or at this point.
Well, the thing is, Jonathan said it's only 12 gig, I think. Well, I would be inclined to think the same way because, the previous sort of ceiling for the cards was 11 gig, albeit the Titans did have that extra 1 gig to differentiate them. I think given the prices that they're going for these cards now, I think they just need to be giving you even more really for that kind of money. It's just,
I always think they're always holding back because they can't give you a really good bargain and then the next year they'd have to top it. So they always kind of have to hold stuff back until the next year and increment RAM in the clock. And, if they come out with something just blew everything out the water, then there'd be no reason to upgrade for a few years probably.
Well, there's always that feeling that it's the same thing with cameras, isn't it? There's always this feeling.
Agreed.
A manufacturer will launch a camera, and even if it's really good and they hit it out the park and everyone says this is really good, there's always that sort of, oh, how come they didn't do that? Oh, how come they didn't do that? And the feeling is because, well, if they just give you everything you need, they almost make it too good in a way.
Well, I think as well, certainly for larger companies, they don't want to, they can't just think of one product. They have to think of a line of products. The Canon M50 that I've got was the first kind of affordable Canon that's got 4K. And everyone kept saying for years was that they were purposely limiting their cameras and not giving it 4K because they knew it would hurt their video camera line. Whereas Sony and all that wasn't doing that. Panasonic wasn't doing that. But Canon, they've got all the, was it the 100D or all the different video?
Yeah, Canon's got the cinema line. They've got
the cinema line.
Well, the thing is, I can understand that line of thought to an extent where if you make your consumer level stuff a bit too tasty, then it could potentially, cannibalize your more expensive stuff. But then I would offer a counter argument to that, which is that often the two markets are so completely different things and they have such different requirements. I mean, I through what I've done, I've met and talked with loads of professional cameramen, and they may have an A7S or as a B camera or a Canon M50 as a B camera, but believe me, for the main camera, they still want traditional cameras because due to a whole variety of reasons, form factor, battery life, weather sealing, all that kind of stuff. So, you could make a DSLR or a mirrorless camera superb, but ultimately it's still not going to have a huge detrimental effect on the sales of the Pro line.
No, it's true, and it's 4K isn't all the same either. Like I can do 4K on my phone, but it doesn't mean it's going to rival, a camera that can do 4K. No,
it's all about the lenses and everything else, the whole ecosystem in it. But sorry, we're going off sort of crypto into other.
Well, I've got a good topic here. You've got the video online, haven't you? So you should be able to see what I'm going to show you.
I can see you.
I'll post the article here just so everyone can follow it. It's in the description area as well, guys. Any article I'm going to show you, I've posted it in the description area. So this one here is Intel patent could make Bitcoin mining more efficient. I saw some people talking about this yesterday. I don't know if you saw this.
I have heard a bit about this. Yeah, it's an interesting idea. It's quite interesting how there's been a bit of a sea change, hasn't it, with mining, and it's in a way it's a shame that it always feels a bit. What's that expression that the Americans
too little, too late.
A day late and a dollar shy or something.
Yeah. It does seem that way. It says here the chip maker successfully filed a patent this week for a processor that claims to offer high performance Bitcoin mining in an energy efficient way. I think the number was at 15%. I think I saw. I don't know if it's in this article. The process is specifically designed to mine cryptocurrencies built on the SHA-256 algorithm. Now, it makes you think, like, I saw some people posting saying what you could do is buy this chip, buy some old ASICs and just kind of, put the new chips in the old systems, and then you would have, hey presto, you've got a new top-of-the-line mining system. But I don't know if we'd do that, or maybe Bitmain would start buying the chips. I don't know. I mean, this is certainly significant.
I think in some ways it's surprising that like juggernauts like Intel haven't got into the action a bit sooner than they have.
Yeah.
And as has been seen with videos you've put up on this channel, it's quite funny now that sort of a year later we're getting these sort of Xbox-esque devices which are $800 and have one RX 5.
Oh, that was it Coin Mine or something, wasn't it?
And you think to yourself, a year, if they'd have been a year ago, as ludicrous as those things are in terms of value for money versus a proper rig with cards and all the rest of it, the market was so buoyant, the profitability was so good that you could actually have made sense of something like that for people who wanted to get in on the ball game. Whereas now, it just makes you wonder. Now, Intel coming into this pattern and saying that they've got they're developing these chips or whatever. It's interesting to see what will happen with this, because you're right. Bitmain is a big enough concern. They're not like a two-bob outfit. They could easily just effectively be Intel's sole or one of their few customers for this stuff.
Oh yeah.
But I'd hazard a guess that it won't pan quite like that.
I'm sure they'll go for their own company though, just because of margins and unless Intel give them a massive deal.
If you've got the know-how and the manufacturing, capacity and all the rest of it to basically be able to sort of change the rules of the game as far as mining efficiency and hash rates concerned, I don't see why you necessarily want to just hand that all over to a company like Bitmain.
I don't know. I mean, in this industry, nothing would surprise me, because it still surprises me that I think even now Samsung still make the majority of the chips in an iPhone. So it's weird, like in the actual mobile phone market, they're going head to head and try to tackle each other, yet a lot of Samsung's profits come down to the fact that they were selling chips to iPhone. And I think Apple have got, I don't know if it's the processor or for the GPUs, they've actually got the warehouse set up this year or next year. Is that right? It's one of the years. It was something like they were about a couple of, like 4 or 5 years behind as far as setting up the actual manufacturing warehouse. So Samsung had to step in. But now Apple will try and keep everything in-house. But
it is strange that with a lot of these like tech and sort of electronics giants, that they do have different divisions which operate on different bases. So whilst
and some of them hurt each other in a way.
Yeah, so on the one hand, from sort of the products, from the consumer products point of view, Sony, Canon, whatever may be in competition, Samsung, etc. As far as the sort of the wholesale end of it, for want of a better description, they supply each other, and there's a good chance if you buy a camera, for example, it's probably going to have a Sony sensor in it, irrespective of what make you buy.
It's the same. It's the same with televisions. I remember reading some articles where it was something like, basically the panel and all the kind of motherboard and all the stuff behind it, for the vast majority of televisions, 90% of it is the same. You're really, the main difference is plastic around it, and that's it. It's almost like skinning it a different way. That's all it is.
Yeah, basically, because I think once upon a time, a lot of different manufacturers did have their own manufacturing, but as time's gone by, the TV is a good example actually, because in the early days of flat screen TVs, you still had quite a good number of manufacturers all making their own stuff. But I think what changed with flat screen TVs is the Korean manufacturers came into the game and really, just chased it down, chased the price down and down and down. And it effectively, what it did was it priced a lot of manufacturers out of the game. Yeah. And now, as you say, you buy a TV, now there's a chance that the panel will be made by LG or whatever. And basically what you're paying for is some of the additional functionality and the sort of the tune-in.
But even at that, if it was, I can't remember, there's one company that does a lot of the panels. I'm not sure if it's Sony, but that LG panel, for example, could be on a Technica or a Hitachi, brands which are basically OEM and just rebrand, other components. Actually, on my other YouTube channel, my old Samsung, I think it was my old Samsung or my old LG TV. I think it was my old LG TV. It broke and I opened it up. So I was trying to fix it, and basically it's two tiny motherboards at the back of it. It's just all space. It's just empty. Yeah. But I was surprised at how generic the motherboards were. It's not like this is fancy computing. It's just cheap transistors, and it's quite cheap. I like when you're that used to looking at PCs with really cool RAM sticks and fancy all-in-one cooling systems and all that. In the back of a television, it's just cheap silicon, effectively. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit.
Thanks, Sonia. I don't know if you saw Jonathan's comment there about the Titan.
4,608 cores. 288. I'm not sure what team
it's a little bit different from what's on Twitter, but you could be right.
Yeah. The thing is, I mean, the Titan has always been well, I suppose there are going to be people who always want to have the best and have got the money to back that up. But really, the Titan has always been a slightly separate product. And given how expensive even the sort of the normal sort of 20 series cards are, again, you'd have to say that if this product is true, this Titan card, and if the prices are sort of anywhere near sort of accurate,
yeah,
you know, this is a relatively small section of the market they're going for. They're going for people who've got a very specific use case, not. Certainly, I mean, it would be just catch. I mean, I can't see how it would make sense from a mining point of view. That then again, what cards do it right now? And as far as any other kind of use is concerned, like gaming and stuff, I mean, yeah, okay, you know, if you've got the Titan, technically you've got the best card, but it all boils down to diminishing returns, and a lot of people will point that out. You know, if you look at the differences between the sort of the top 3 spec cards, when push comes to shove, there's so little real world difference between them. You just get to a point when you think, well, is it really a sensible?
Yeah, the law of diminishing returns, as you say. It's kind of weird though, because I think, you know, obviously it does seem that Intel, I've read that Samsung and all that are going to get involved in crypto as well. It does seem that a lot of them are kind of late to the game in a way, and it kind of seems like the coin mine thing, it seems like they're late to the party. But a lot of these, you know, just the actual process of manufacturing and building things and creating things, I suspect that even, you know, they have to plan things 6 months or 9 months down the line. I think that's why Bitmain's been so successful, is that they turn around things really quickly and get it out the door and then move on. And I don't think this is where other ASIC mining companies are maybe struggling to compete in that regard, because they don't have the conveyor belt that they do. And
I think you're spot on. Actually, I think you know, there's been a pattern with Bitmain where they announce a product and then it's available, and it seems to happen really quickly. Whereas think of sort of your traditional sort of electronics juggernauts. Yeah, they may announce a product and may be available immediately, but you don't know how long that's been in the works. And I think that sometimes being smaller gives you that little bit more flexibility.
Well, but it's even more apparent in the ASIC mining world, because you see a lot of, like, I've done a couple of videos where I've talked about, this new ASIC miner from a non-Bitmain company. And when it comes out, you think, well, that's double the price of, say, a Z9, and it's got, you know, the same hash rate, and you're like, they're coming late to the game and charging twice as much. How are these guys going to compete? It's
well, the thing about mining is, I mean, I know I'm just going to massively contradict what I just said a few minutes ago, but
that's okay. That's what my channel's all about.
Well, if you can't contradict yourself, who can, you know? I think, on the surface of it, it does look like a lot of these things coming out now are sort of, a bit after the Lord Mayor's show. But then, you know, you could equally argue that maybe now that these giants like Samsung and Intel and what have you get into it, it's not so much that they're late for a party, it's just they're early for another party.
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
We're worth it still thinking about mining in terms of sort of as it's been up until now with GPUs, with ASICs stuff. But, you know, there could be new algorithms, anything.
And they're maybe thinking 2019, 2020, 2021. And we are thinking, why isn't my GPU I purchased 6 months ago going to break even?
Exactly. Well, I saw a video earlier on. I can't remember which one it was now. And they were interviewing different people to ask them about, like, sort of the crypto market, where it's going or what have you. And this guy turned around and said that he knows personally of a company that's just invested, I think he said it was either $100,000 or $1 million into mining kit. Now, on the surface of it, you think to yourself, who on earth would want to do that right now? But, you know, generally speaking, you know, people tend to invest big, you know, amounts of money. They tend to have a bit of an idea of what they're doing as a rule. I very much doubt,
No, I was going to say, it's funny that you bring that up, because the next story that I kind of queued up is about a Bitcoin mining company going bankrupt. I couldn't have planned that better. I've not heard of this one. Have you heard of them? Gigawatt?
I think I might have seen this somewhere. In fact, you put the link to CoinDesk. It may even have been there, but I don't think I read the story.
It could be. Says they owe $7 million.
Well, I think this is the thing. If you look at what's happened in a relatively short space of time, I suppose there always were going to be sort of casualties in terms of mining because, but then a lot of it depends on which angle you're coming from, what you're trying to mine. I mean, I suppose for most people, like you or I or anybody else, sort of homebrew miners, if you like, what we were all about was mining coins that could be mined on that kind of kit, on GPUs and stuff. But a lot of large scale miners, the farms and stuff, they're all about SHA-256. They're all about actually mining Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and mining.
And that's it. Yeah, just Bitcoin. That's it. Yeah.
Now, so in a way, they're in a completely different zone, aren't they? Because they're sort of they're more at the mercy of the price of Bitcoin rather than sort of things like electricity and everything else. I mean,
but the thing is, it's so competitive and the margins are so thin that, I mean, I'm guessing, reading, there's not a huge amount of information here. It's just about the fact that they owe a lot of creditors money. They owe, was it one of the electricity companies, $310,000. It's one of those things because when things were going well, they probably scaled up. And when me and you scaled up and we scaled up GPUs, maybe we could lose a few $1,000s. But if you've got a huge warehouse worth of, Bitcoin miners and you scale up, you could be investing the profits that would have, broke even. Instead of trying to break even, you're trying to scale up your operation. And then all of a sudden the whole kingdom falls down because it's built upon Bitcoin being a certain price. And if Bitcoin drops to a certain price, all of a sudden your affordable electricity rate isn't affordable anymore because it's not going to cover the costs. And this is what happens. I mean, I feel for that. I actually feel for the guys doing it because it's hard to, I mean, how do you plan ahead for that? And how do you plan ahead for that in the future?
Well, this is the thing. I think that's, I suppose, in a way, what a lot of these companies that we're reading about now have done is that they've kind of done the same thing that the likes of you or I have done, which is that they've got into something thinking that not necessarily that prices would just keep going up and up and up, but they would at least have stayed a constant for a reasonable amount of time. But the way that sort of the price of cryptocurrency and the profitability of mining sort of took a massive nosedive throughout 2018, caught them out. And as you say, it's all about scale. If you or I go and drop a few grand on some stuff and it doesn't work out, we just say, okay, screw it, turn it off, and that's the end of it. And by the time you sell everything off and do all the maths, you may be a little bit down in the short term anyway. But whereas if you're talking about multiplying that by a factor of 100 or 1,000 or whatever, you're talking about sums of money which are not quite so easy to mitigate. Yeah. So
I find this whole thing interesting because I actually sold a PSU today.
Oh, so well done.
I'm doing well. I sold an EVGA T2 today.
Nice one.
100. What did I get? 150. Well, I got £150, which is.
That's not bad. Where did you sell it? Don't mind me asking.
AV Forums.
Oh, good man.
Yeah, it wasn't too. I've still got like another 2 or 3 left.
Yes, I've not attempted to sell anything for a while now, but yeah.
I've just got a mega thread and I've just listed every single thing. No, I find that whole thing interesting because, as you were saying, when we bought our equipment, we are thinking about the break-even point and all that, and we've lost. Maybe if we've lost some money, it's not a ton of money. It's not life-changing money. It's not like we're going to go into debt and having to sell the house or anything like that. But you can imagine that a large-scale operation, not only do they, everything's on a large scale, electricity and all that, but they also have staff. So you forget sometimes that there's a lot of staff that get that get affected by this. And so they've tried to, I don't know what they're doing if they're scaling down the operation, but I think you were kind of saying that new companies might be more, I guess maybe newer companies, people that have been mining the last year, are maybe more at risk of going down. But then I don't know, like how would even an established company that's been in the mining field for 10 years, how would they handle the 2018?
Well, I suppose
you'd really have to be really ahead of the curve as far as selling everything down. But even if you are, I mean, if say you've got a huge Bitcoin mining farm or even an Ethereum mining farm, maybe that's more appropriate. Even if you are ahead of the curve, you might decide to sell in May or June thinking, no, this isn't going to go well. But who's going to buy? You're still at the point where it wasn't a bull run. The market was going down. So you might decide to sell. but flooding the market with it all at the same time, you know, I don't know. It's hard. I can empathise by anyone that's in that position.
I suppose the one advantage you could have if you were a new entrant into this market, you could make a case for saying, well, anyone that could enter this market with their eyes open, having done the numbers enough to sort of even make a wafer thin operational profit right now, while things are at there, would be lowest level. If you can survive right now, then, you know, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months down the line, when the picture is different, you know, you're going to be laughing. I think but the problem is as you just said, the main problem is for companies that maybe got into things a year or so ago and set everything up on the sort of assumption that things were going to be either as they were at that time or not deviate too much from it. But sadly,
you're right.
It just went off a cliff.
Yeah. Well, timing. There's obviously an element of luck as far as timing goes, because when you think I think 2017, the whole craze for GPU mining kind of started with Ethereum in the middle of the year. But you can imagine if you were already set up at that position, you had like 8 glorious months. Whereas if you decide to get in there and then you decide to get in there a little bit later than everyone else, you're kind of coming in at the end of the wave, which a lot of us did.
Yeah, definitely. Which I noticed in the comments, I know we resolved to try and pay more attention to that.
Yeah.
Which isn't easy when there's two of you having a conversation. But so Jason Freeman has just said, still running my rigs, no profit, just setting up nodes like crazy. I assume by that, Jason, you don't mean that you're actually making a loss. You just mean no substantial profit.
He said you were talking about, I think you were talking about the wild rig script I referred to earlier as well, being 6 megahashes better per card. Or is that a different? Or okay, sorry, you're talking about the 580.
580 is just a 5.
Oh, Jonathan, right? Oh, okay, sorry, Jonathan was talking about the 590. That's out £239. I'll take a look at that, Jonathan.
Yeah, well, Jonathan Pollux just said the graphics card companies will feel the pinch. Absolutely, and I think they already have been. There's been a few stories about Nvidia's profitability taking a bit of a nosedive. Mind you, to be fair, they can't moan too much because, frankly, you know, they had a good run of it, didn't they? So.
Oh yeah, I've got no sympathy.
No, I'm not going to shed any tears for Nvidia because let's just suppose that either the cryptocurrency never existed or it did, but there was no such thing as mining. Well, yes. Nvidia, maybe their profits wouldn't actually be looking down right now, but then they would never have had a massive height from which to fall. If you see what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason their profitability has taken a dive, or their profits have taken a dive, whatever, is because they were able to surf this unbelievable wave where they were just selling out. They couldn't produce enough graphics cards of an outgoing model. I mean, that's the thing that needs to be borne in mind, that the timing of that was amazing for them because if it happened at the beginning,
they delayed their GPUs. It gave them a free year, effectively.
I mean, how many manufacturers would absolutely love to be in a situation where they're coming to the natural life end of life of a product line, and something comes along which puts them in a position where rather than them being left lumbered with a whole load of them and thinking we need to get rid of these before we can put the new products out, they can't produce enough quick enough.
It's like
they were in a very lucky position. I mean, it was like Christmas for a year for Nvidia.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, like a gaming console get extended for another 3 years out of the blue when it was dead. I don't know if you saw this, Norliss. I'll post a link to this. So I'm going to talk about NiceHash. Everyone knows about what happened with NiceHash. They got hacked. Was it 2017, 16? 17, I think it was. So they had this kind of...
But lingers on, that does, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, they posted a tweet today saying that we know there's a lot of disappointment regarding the latest reimbursement of the repayment program, but unfortunately we are financially not able to fulfill the repayment of more than 1% for this month. They're really drip feeding all the money back. Yeah. We always strive to repay as much as we can with every reimbursement, but this time we are financially not able to reimburse more. We are committed to fully reimburse all users that were affected by the breach, and we are doing everything we can to achieve the goal. This is undoubtedly going to piss off a lot of people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is a company that's fortune rides the wave, and with with everything going down in price, there's less people buying. HashPower, I imagine.
Yeah, I remember when I first got into the game, which was at the beginning of the year. I think as you did, and probably a lot of people do, which is my first stop was NiceHash, and the experience overall was pretty good, albeit with caveats. But I remember even at that point, reading in various places on the web.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that you should.
A lot of people were still, I never use them. You know, they were calling them all names from one end to the other, spectrum to the other, because of this hack, and that they'd gone on this repayment program. And yeah, I suppose it's different if you're in that position. I might feel differently. You might think, you know, where's my money? I want my money back. But let's be honest. In some ways, I mean, I've got to be careful how I word this, because, as I say, I was never put in this position of losing a load of money. But in some ways, given how volatile the whole crypto sphere is, again, given the amount of and some of the things that have happened, I think it's people are quite lucky, and I say lucky in inverted commas, that NiceHash have survived a distance to even be able to instigate some sort of repay plan, because there's plenty of companies that just go bankrupt. And you know, if you
or they'll just, you know, they'll just close the company and start
again. Exactly, they'll suffer a hack and then just say, "Oh, sorry," and then they'll mysteriously fold.
Yeah, and then they'll come back a few years later, and then
I think, you know, they're drip feeding the money, because probably they just don't, like you say, you know, the whole mining thing's gone down the Kyber, and the HashPower, you know, everything is suffering, so they probably don't.
Well, I mean, again, they might be in a position where they have to start laying off staff or whatever, you know, and maybe that, you know, because of the market crashing.
The fact that they're still around, able to repay people, albeit at 1% a month, which I appreciate must be frustrating, especially if you had a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
The fact they're still around is you have to take as a bit of a positive, really.
It's one of those things, you know, I think it's easy to kind of look at the outside and say, you know, they're doing the right thing. But again, if you lost money, you'd feel very differently, especially if you needed that money. But I don't know. I mean, I think this is an issue that's always going to be involved in cryptocurrency, because it doesn't matter. You know, it's almost like the bigger you become, the more of a target you are as well. So if security is important for a new exchange, when that exchange gets more and more volume, there's more and more money, you know, going through its lanes, and security becomes a bigger concern. And from talking to people a lot smarter than me when it comes from development, there's nothing that's 100% foolproof. There really isn't. If there's enough people that are dedicated enough to target an organization or a service, they'll do damage. They might not get, you know, steal all the money. I don't know if I told you, I can't remember the name of an exchange. What was the Canadian exchange? Was it Maple Leaf or Maple?
I think it was. Yeah, they had some very sort of archetypally Canadian name like that, didn't they?
Did I talk to? I don't know if you ever talk. If I've spoke about it with you guys what happened to them.
You may have done, yeah. It was quite a small exchange, if I remember correctly, because I think crypto's a bit of a grey area legally in Canada, isn't it? Much as it is in.
Yeah, I think it's got better support there than the USA. Marginally, but I saw some people saying that, you know, it was an exit scam, but then I saw some people talking about it at the conference, and apparently it was something to do with a tiny little bit in the code where if you did a trade for a particular trading period, I'm not sure if it was Bitcoin, Maple Exchange. Yeah, you're right, Delaney. Yeah, that was the one I was thinking about.
Thank you.
It was something to do with it was a small piece of code, and it caused, you know, whenever you did a trade, say it was Bitcoin to Ethereum, whatever it was, instead of like, say 4 cents coming off as a fee or whatever it may be, or 4%, or not 4%, say it was like 5 cents, just to make it simple, but say it was supposed to be 5 cents goes to the exchange, it was actually negative 5 cents, so anyone who did a trade was actually getting money. So someone figured it out, and there wasn't a limit on micro trades, and someone overnight did, you know, they set up a script and did like hundreds of thousands of small trades going back and forth so that they made 5 cents, and it just cleared them out, absolutely cleared them out. And it's one of those things you can say, well, they're idiots, so they didn't secure it and all that, but it just shows you like one small human error, it will get picked up and it will be exploited, and you know, it killed the company from what I've read. I don't know if that's true or not. I heard people talking about that. I've got no reason to believe it's a lie, but it could be a rumor.
Let's be honest, Stephen, you know, it was a bit of human error. It doesn't mean the company deserves to fold. It's a bit like saying, if you leave your house unlocked and someone ransacks it and nicks everything, you deserve it. You think, well, No, you don't. If your house is unlocked and the doors are open and the windows open, it doesn't give anyone the right to come in and take what you've got. Obviously, the insurance company would take a different view of it. But anyway, I saw something then further up the comments from Jason, because I asked him if he was running, whether it was an operational profit or whether, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I realized that we might be going down a rabbit hole that we sort of went down before, and that you
a few months ago,
a cause célèbre a few months ago for this reason. But he said, still running my rigs, no profit, just setting up notes like crazy. And then I asked him about that, and excuse me, and he's replied, probably a loss, but who's counting? Now, we got to make sure we don't spend more than about 78 seconds on this, because we battered this one a few months ago. But this does raise the question again about mining at a loss versus just buying the coins.
Yeah.
And I now, even now, I haven't changed my mind. In fact, now looking at 2 empty rigs devoid of GPUs and being reminded of motherboards and PSUs that I need to get a shift on and sell, I'm thinking I'd be even less likely to do that now than I was like 4 months ago when they were up and running and all I had to do was press a couple of buttons, you know?
Yeah.
So
well, I think what I found, I kind of got egg on my face in a few of the discussions, because I kept having the same argument with the same people and saying, listen, you know, if you're running at a loss, you're making a mistake. There's, you know, unless you've got like, you know, 1 GPU, and I go through and say, listen, if you get 30 GPUs, you get 50 or 100 GPUs, you're better just buying the coins, switching off your rig, selling your equipment, and then, you know, buying the coins directly. You can sell your equipment and you'll save on time and maintenance, and you can just buy the coins. And they were like, no, I prefer to mine the coins directly. I don't care, you know, if I run at a loss. But what always happened at the end of the discussion was, after I'm talking about thousands of dollars and electricity costs and all that, someone would say, well, I've only got 1 GPU anyway, and I live with my parents, so they pay the electricity.
Yeah.
And really, if you're only going to be losing, you know, 50 cents or $1 per month, you know, from mining with 1 GPU on all the time, then there is a good argument for just leaving it on mining, because you don't have to mess about with exchanges. You know, from a time point of view, I can understand that, but it's, you know, when you've got a large operation. But it's funny, because I'd go through this whole back and forth, and I'm like, I'm hitting my head against the wall about it. And then it was always at the end, I went, well, you know, I've only got a 1050 Ti. Anyway. Yeah,
exactly. Oh, I mean, look, if you're a kid and you wouldn't necessarily be able to actually buy cryptocurrency because you don't have the requisite, you know, ID, bank account or whatever.
Yeah.
If you live at home, or if you're a student, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it perfectly makes sense that you would, if you've got a PC with 1 or 2 cards in, you might want to leave that running, because effectively what you're doing is you're just accumulating coins for nothing, albeit your parents are subsidizing it via electricity, or the university is, or whatever. But for anybody else, like you or I, it just made absolutely no sense. You know, I mean, the only sense you could say it could make is when the weather gets cold, you're getting a bit of, you know, accidental extra heat out of it. But let's be honest, there's cheaper ways to heat your house than running like 1.5 kilowatts worth of GPUs and PSUs and what have you.
Well, I found one of the biggest things for me switching off my rigs, you know, being the right decision, was time. And I don't know what it was. I mean, for most of the year, I had 4 rigs, and I don't know why. When I scaled all the way down and I had 1 rig, I never got any problems. I don't know why. Never get any problems. Maybe because I was more experienced at that point. Maybe because I was using Hive OS. I had it all synced up. Everything was good. But I had 0 problems. But when you've got more rigs, it seems to be exponential. It's not like you get 2 rigs, you get twice as many problems. It just seems to be, you know, you fix 1 rig, you get it all working, and then something else plays up and it's like a configuration file, something isn't working. For the most part, it was okay, but I was spending, I realized at one point I was spending way too much time messing about with it. And that's coming from someone who's got a cryptocurrency YouTube channel. And
the thing is, they're messing around with stuff in the early days when it's new and it's all enjoyable and you're learning and it's making money. It's not so much of a problem. In fact,
you can justify it when you're making a few thousand a month. Yeah,
exactly. If there was a company out there that I could invoice for the amount of time that I spent messing around with mining rigs, I'd have a nice little nest egg now. But you know, the trouble is, as you say, as time goes on and it becomes less profitable, you just start to become less patient with it then. And then you think to yourself, why am I actually arsing about with this now? For what good is it?
For 10 cents profit per day.
Exactly. You know,
yeah,
you'd get more money signing up for one of those schemes sent by George Agdegwengo from somewhere in Nigeria.
You pronounced that name better than I could have.
I can wire you $4, sir, immediately. Why not, George? It's more money than I'm getting from mining, that's for sure. But anyway.
John was saying, I heard someone was buying their 3-year-old a mining rig for Christmas.
God, bloody
Surely
hell.
not.
No, sorry to dive in there, but I just said Jason Freeman has just reminded me of something that I was actually going to bring up if we were going to freestyle at all, which is the Acorn software, or the Acorn software stroke hardware. Now, that was, when they were announced, that was sort of seemed to be to some, not fanfare, but there seemed to be quite a bit of interest in that, you know, plonk them in, make your existing cards more efficient, blah, blah, blah.
So you talk about the ones from Minority?
Well,
they were being sold in Minority. You know, like Oh God, a Girl and all that. Is that the ones you're talking about?
I don't know if we're on about the same thing. I'm on about the little cards that used to needed to go into the M2 slots.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. Hold on, I'll
which when I first saw them looked genius until I realised that you need like one per card or one per pair of cards, which automatically made it like that much more expensive.
Squirrel.
Squirrel, is it?
Yeah, Squirrel, SQRL. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, but they brand them as Acorns, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just noticed there, by the way, I don't know if you've noticed this, if I get the website address wrong, but Minority, the website isn't actually coming up. That's a bit. I'll just
Squirrel Research.
Squirrel Research, right, okay.
Yeah, it's still coming up. Yeah, SQRL, the Acorn. That's it.
So Jason's received it, but no miner software. Yeah, that's.
Now, if I remember, he's just reminded me now. It's all coming back to me. That was another one of the pitfalls of this, wasn't it? Was the fact
you had to use theirs.
You had to use their software. You couldn't just fire up Awesome Miner or whatever and just use it that way. Well, I suppose theoretically that's possible, but it would require the miners to actually have support for this, and it all just looked a little bit,
Minority closed.
Too many.
Minority went bust. When did that happen? I think I was reading something about when did that happen. Minority closed, but the Minority spirit will live on. They're focusing on Squirrel. Well, why don't they even redirect the URL? That's like website 101. Why wouldn't you redirect the website to SQRL? It's a little bit strange that they can't afford $10 for a domain name. Just from a traffic point of view, it makes no sense.
Yeah. Does anybody out there in the YouTube sphere know of anyone that's actually got these up and running? Because I've not seen any videos. I've not seen anybody talking about these things. It's almost like they've just sort of.
I'm glad I didn't order any because.
Well, yeah.
I kind of went full circle with it because when it first came out, I'm like, you know, I was actually during a live stream and I said, listen, these things are expensive. They don't seem to be giving you enough of a boost. And then I got lots of comments saying, you don't understand it, Kevin, and you know, all that. I'm like, right, okay, I'll go back to the drawing board. Let's examine this. Let's see how this works. I mean, maybe it's a little bit critical because if you were in a super bull run and Bitcoin was $20,000, these things could be excellent.
Well, exactly. This it falls into the bracket of timing all over again. If these things come out a year earlier and you could be buying these things, you know, these things could have really been like a gold mine, because if they do as they say on the tin, if you actually work it out in a GPU shortage, if you've already got, assuming you've got some GPUs to be, you know, getting on with, you could effectively boost your hash power by circumventing the requirement for more GPUs by just running these. And these could have been a really cracking idea. Well, but they come out in the middle of a massive sort of downturn. And
well, even when it was announced in, I think it was August, it was first announced, wasn't it? $330. It's about $400 or so at the UK. But you have to use their software. Now, that for me was a bigger sticking point than people really thought about because, well, I think everyone is waiting on the software. And it wasn't even just, like, I didn't think there would be a problem with the software being delayed. What I had a problem with was, what if you're in a position where using the Acorn CLE 215 Plus, for example, say you're using this and you're going to get a 20% boost or a 30% boost, but you have to use their software. What happens if the software you normally use gives you 20 or 30% more of a hash rate, you know, than their software?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that would definitely happen. I realize that, you know, these guys developed the ETH power and all that. and they're smart people. But you were really restricting yourself, and you know, anyone who's been doing any mining, and you know this yourself, Norliss, is when you're doing cryptocurrency mining, when you're really trying to get as much as you can from each rig, you are jumping from script to script. You're using one thing, and you're like, oh, that one's been updated. That's 10% faster now. You jump to that one, you jump to that one. With this one, you are, you know, you're locked into their Apple-esque ecosystem, and you have to use their software, and their software isn't even there yet. Which I would be very pissed off about if I'd paid $400 for one little M2 card.
You're relying on them to keep things up to date.
And it's one of those things, you know, I'm trying not to be too critical because I like the fact that this company exists. I like what they're trying to do.
Yes, on the surface, it's a great idea.
Yeah, as far as getting more from the system. But I do think, I don't know, like, I mean, I realize these guys have to make money, but for me, any kind of M2 adapter shouldn't be more than $50, really. Or $100 even in the cryptocurrency world, you know, for I don't know how much it cost them to produce, and I realize they've got margins and all that, but $330, then you add in shipping, it's $400 to get a 20-30% boost. I mean, I haven't crunched the numbers, but you'd probably need Bitcoin and all the other altcoins to jump up to, like, I don't know, like 203% what they are just now.
You'd need to be in a totally different place in the market to where we are now, and I think you know it's perfectly conceivable that it could be. Because, I mean, for example, if you look at the tables in terms of hash rate, they boost a 1080 Ti, depending on the codec, the algorithm, by anything from 1.43 to 1.76 on X16R. Well, you think about 1.76 and what a 1080 Ti costs or whatever. If that is actually true, then you're effectively getting in 75%, 76% of another 1080 Ti, but for the cost of $300 and something, as opposed to what would 70% of a 1080 Ti cost? Probably, well, a fair bit more than that, actually. So they make sense on that basis. But the trouble is, at the moment, you know, GPU mining is in a place right now that you need to come up with something like that, which would need to like quadruple your efficiency for it to make any sense, really.
Well, this might be an unpopular opinion, and I know it will, considering the video I did recently about what was it called, OXBTC and cloud mining and all that. I'm not a big fan of cloud mining services that tie you into, you know, 2-3 year contracts and all that kind of thing.
I think you should pause a sec just to give Jeff a chance to join us. Sorry,
but, you know, I'm not a fan of those things, right? But I do like, you know, as someone who now doesn't have 30 GPUs at their disposal, I do still like the concept of cloud mining, in so much as I want to use someone else's hardware and use, you know, take advantage of their cheap electricity, which is why now in this position, NiceHash and mining rig rentals is more appealing than it ever was. And looking at the prices that they were selling at, looking at their shipping costs, and looking at the fact that, you know, they are essentially software developers jumping into the big bad world of hardware, which I realize isn't easy. It's a different set of problems than, and I can fully appreciate they're in a difficult position, and it's problems they've probably never faced before. But why didn't they perhaps try out the cloud mining route? Now, I know that they offered an option where they were saying, you know, we can host it for you. We can buy it, and then you can host it, and then we can send it to you after, you know, when it's all finished. That was what they were trying to do with Minority. But why not just set it all up and just sell the hash power in a way, you know, like a fixed rate, perhaps to rival NiceHash or something like that? You know, if they could have, you know, got a warehouse in a country with cheap electricity, and they could have got all these GPUs, you know, 50%, 60% boosts, and they can set it up and optimize it in a way that they don't have to mess about with support and software and all that. They just have to sell the hash power. Maybe that was a different, I mean, it's easy for me to say that now because
I was just going to say, it always surprised me that there wasn't actually more competition for NiceHash, or at least certainly back then. It doesn't surprise me now, because of course everything's on its ass. Well, I mean, talking about the Acorn again, Jason has said that he's got 3 of the 215 plus and still waiting for software. I mean, that's a dismal situation, isn't it, really? I mean, I'd be wanting a full refund at that point, really. Well, I imagine buying any product or whatever cost and sitting around for months unable to use because they haven't released the software.
Yeah, it's like getting a laptop and saying, Windows will be there in a few months' time. It's just sitting there gathering dust. Jason? What's the general feeling in the Discord room and all that about it? It's one of those things, I'm trying to put myself in their position as far as, software people get into the hardware world. They are trying to fix. They're trying to do something which I think, there is a gap in the market for this, and I'm trying not to be too critical because I realise that they're facing a lot of problems, and anyone that started that would be facing a lot of problems. But at the same time, looking at it as someone who would have, bought it, if I'd spent $400 on one of these M2 adapters and it arrives 2-3 months late, I'd be absolutely raging. By that point, I could have sold my GPU mining rigs.
Well, Jason has said that they were given the option for refunds before delivery. Yeah. Now, I wouldn't mind betting quite a lot of people probably took them up on that. And fair play to them for doing that rather than trying to string you along and just give you a load of, candy floss. But can I just ask, Jason, given the time scale on this, at what point was that option given to you, and what was it that made you hang on? Was it? You're obviously someone with a lot more faith in them than I would have, I'll be honest. But there you go.
Yeah, at this point, I would have wanted my money back, but
yeah,
effectively, you've got a completely useless adapter. Oh, they gave you 3 different chances. Well, fair play to them. Fair play if they did do that. I do think they come across as quite an ethical company if you look at the actions of some of the staff as far as what they're doing. But as far as minority closing down, how did they handle customers? Because they were selling 2-3 year contracts. This is another reason why I do like cloud mining as so much as buying HashPower from NiceHash or mining rig rentals, but that's on a short term, you get your HashPower today type basis. It's not on a, this company could go bust at any point and your 3 year contract is worthless.
Yeah. It's a bit...
Vladimir, never pre-order anything. Right on, brother.
Accept the thing that you really want and you don't pre-order and then you miss out on it. So sod.
Well, this is one of the reasons why I'm glad I never ordered anything from Kickstarter. I used to browse Kickstarter and you see all these fantastic gadgets, but Kickstarter was just allowing people to scam people, essentially. There was companies that made millions of dollars and then a final product was never sent out.
I think, to be fair, there have been some things which are good that have come out of Kickstarter, but unfortunately, for every good product that actually delivered on time, there's probably another, like you say, there's another 9 or 10 of them that just...
Yeah. Oh, you're really taking a risk. But the problem is as well, I saw a lot of them, and what they were doing was the finished product was actually available on Amazon to other people before it was actually available to the people who pre-ordered it and funded it. And
for cheaper, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And or the people who got it from Amazon was getting a more refined version without any bugs.
Well, actually, the risk of sidetracking too much from your sort of itinerary, seeing as you've brought up the Kickstarter and things of that ilk, I wonder whether it might be there's a good example of that, or at least to my eyes there is, within the crypto sphere, which is the Kobo Vault. Now, the Kobo people...
The hardware wallet?
The hardware wallets. They have been developing this hardware wallet, not Kickstarter, Indiegogo. It's a similar principle, basically. And it looks very impressive. And they sent it out to a bunch of different people on YouTube. Not necessarily all the people I would have suggested they send it to, whether that's just an intentional thing. I don't want to be too conspiratorial about it. But
they were sending it to, I saw them sending it to, some people on Twitter that didn't even have a YouTube channel, or they had...
well, there was that, but also some of the people they sent them to on YouTube were people that, and I've watched lots of different people talking about crypto on YouTube, and to be honest, I think there was only one person that I'd heard of before.
Yeah.
And I don't know what was said, to be honest, but I was watching, I was quite interested in it because it was expensive, but it looked quite interesting. It looked like a nice bit of kit. And a lot of the people looking at it, a lot of the videos were useless because they weren't able to test it because the software wasn't available. So they were just saying, and they just kept parroting out the kind of marketing terms. Like if I'd have had 10 quid for every time I heard someone say military grade steel or whatever, I was thinking, for fuck's sake, stop saying that. That's what they're putting on their website.
Is that necessary for a hardware wallet?
Exactly, and so anyway, so they were sending these things out, and most people were just unboxing them and saying, "Oh, it's so nicely built and looks really nice," and all the rest of it. And then when people actually started to test them, admittedly they were testing it with software which was kind of v0.9 or whatever, but there were some pretty major fundamental flaws in it, and so much so that the $300 like super early bird price, which was supposed to have expired I think sometime in the beginning of November, seems to have been extended now indefinitely, and of those 200 units, the last time I looked, they'd only actually had something like 70 odd orders.
Well, that's the thing. It's quite overpriced in this market, but you're also a guinea pig for the software, not just the initial version. For me, I'd be a little bit understanding of the fact that the first, within the first few months there has to be, development, and it's still in beta or beta. But I think the bigger risk of not going with, an established company or something that's been in it for years is that the company just goes offline, and then there's no critical updates, and then if there's an exploit, you really need to move your money somewhere else.
Well, this is it. I mean, I watched it and it looked really nice. I watched a couple of videos, and the first fundamental flaw I spotted was with the battery. In the interests of it not connecting to a computer and being completely air gapped, it had a battery. Now, it had a battery. It was a 1500 milliamp battery, which, for a device of its ilk is pretty hefty, really. And I asked them, okay, so you're using a proprietary battery.
Yeah.
What happens if the battery goes for a bit?
And which does happen. Which does. Yeah. I mean, anyone who's owned a phone for more than a year or so knows what happens to it.
Well, their response to it was, well, we are going to be selling batteries separately, but they wouldn't tell you how much it was. They would say, we'll let you know. Hang on a minute. If you're trying to get people to stick their money in their pocket now and capitalize on this early bird pricing, I appreciate $300 may be a significant discount based on the supposed full price that it's going to be when it's out in shops, $500, whatever. But $300 for a cryptocurrency wallet is still a fair bit of money. And yet they flatly refused to tell you how much the batteries were going to be. Now, to me, that suggested the batteries were going to be expensive, and they didn't want to say that they were going to be expensive because they knew it was potentially a barrier. And again, they're a company that, I don't want to badmouth them. I think they've got the best intentions, but there's no guarantee that they're going to be around.
You definitely. I mean,
it supports coins, but we're going to add more. You can vote what coins do you want to add, but you're relying on them to be around.
It's one of those things because I do want more competition in the field, and it, but essentially you are a guinea pig if you buy anything from a new company within the first few months. Vladimir's saying, don't pre-order anything. Things 2 or more months ahead, you can profit from your money in that time. Yeah, there's always a risk. This is a problem in the tech world where how many products and other things get launched and then dropped, really quickly. Hey, ads. Tired of getting to the game too late. Funny, ads is here. It was actually, so I've got a few more things I was going to talk about. The other thing, I don't know, I might as well talk about it. I've got the SafeCoin t-shirt on. This was actually a week ago. SafeCoin announced new tiers for the safe nodes, and they've went with 10,000, 50,000 and 100,000.
There you go.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's one of those things, I think one of the biggest discussions we had in the SafeCoin community was what
the level wrote this article looks familiar, by the way.
Yeah, he's a sexy Scottish guy. Modest as well.
I thought you were Irish.
Anyway. I find the whole... I found the whole debate about what the level should be. I think 10, 50, 100 is quite a good level considering the price of SafeCoin and all that just now. But it's quite a hard thing to get right, and it's one of those things. Even if you do get it right, you can't please everyone. You really can't please everyone. We saw that we had a discussion in the SafeCoin Discord, and if some people were saying, the minimum should be like 200,000, because they had a lot of coins, which is ridiculous. But it's kind of hard. But a lot of it. The problem with all of that is that you can look at the block reward, you can look at the collateral and all that, but you can't tell what the price will be later on.
No,
and it's quite weird because I've seen a lot of masternode coins fail because of that, because they've built their whole ecosystem around masternodes, and yet it only brings you in $3 profit per month, but then it's $5 for a VPS because of the price of the coin went down. And it's one of those things, if the price of the coin goes down to a certain level, then, the nodes don't make sense. I don't think that's going to... SafeCoin's actually in a good position in that regard because the price of the coin's so low right now. But I do think it's a very difficult thing to get right. It wasn't until, sometimes like in my position, you're looking at coins and you say, oh, it's so much for a masternode. But when you actually sit down, you work out why, how many coins are necessary. You go, well, that's not going to work if we don't get enough people for that. That doesn't work. And for that one, if there's 100 people, all of a sudden they don't get enough of a reward at this price level. You need the price of the coin to go up.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to get right, is it? Because obviously if it's too low, it becomes almost a bit pointless. But then if it's too high, it becomes too much of a barrier. But you've got to strike that balance. I think offering those tiers like that, I think there's a number of masternode coins have gone down a similar route. And I think it's a good strategy. I think, well, I don't think they've launched them yet, but I think that Zell are doing a similar
thing. Well, Zell, I mean, I think they've got, what's their levels again? 10, do you know? Is it 10?
I think it's 10. I think something 50, possibly 100 as well. They may have 4 tiers, I don't know. But
but I mean, again, this is based on the current price. So if Zell was like, say, 5 cents, 100,000 is a fair price, as far as the big guys, the bigger nodes.
Yeah.
But then what happens if Zell Cash shoots up to $5? All of a sudden you're asking, $500,000 for a node.
Well, it's the same with Dash, isn't it? Dash is arguably the biggest masternode coin, isn't it, in terms of its sort of market cap?
It's ridiculous.
Dash it's you need to have pretty deep pockets to get on one of those. To have one.
I mean, I'm not sure if that was always the case when they launched. I'm not sure.
Jason says he doesn't pay rent usually. Can I let me know who the landlord is who lets you rent for free, mate? Will you?
What's this? Tired of getting in the game too late. Crypto Dave, welcome to the stream, mate. My farm of 30 GPUs and 10 ASICs are in a small office with energy included in the rent.
I bet
that's quite good.
You, Crypto Dave, with the 10 ASICs running away.
I'm surprised your landlord isn't going to, shut you down. There was another story here I've got.
Do you mean your mother, your old lady, Jason? Is that what you mean? Or do you mean your wife?
My old lady.
There's a couple of ways people thought that phrase that, isn't it?
Yeah. I saw this one today. Korea's largest internet firm, Kakao. I've not heard of this one. Kakeo. It's running a private cryptocurrency ICO, but I think they're doing it out of Japan. They're doing a private sale. Right. So I think this is like a strategic thing to get around regulation
and South Korean laws.
Yeah, South Korean regulation. It's funny though, because there's obviously a lot of big coins that have been funded with ICOs, despite the fact that ICOs normally associated with scams and all that kind of thing. Yeah,
well, that's the thing. It's easy to forget that some of the, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Ethereum an ICO?
Yeah, Ethereum was,
and I think XRP/Ripple was as well.
Yeah.
I
think so, yeah. I mean, it is a centralized kind of coin, but...
Yeah, but it's, Yeah, I think... Well, put it this way. The negative publicity and some of the legal sort of implications of these ICOs, I think they're going to do one or two things. They'll either just sort of kill the whole thing stone dead and people won't bother anymore, or only the good guys will bother doing it. And so ultimately what actually means, rather than ICO being synonymous with basically a lot of bollocks, it could be that a much higher percentage of ICOs are actually potentially worth investing in because they're solid and they're tested and they've got safeguards in place and all the rest of it.
Yeah, that's the thing, if it is all regulated and it is all, if it's all controlled that way and it's legit, I can't help but think that there's always going to be a way around all this kind of stuff anyway. Far as maybe setting up a separate investment firm and then that company invests a private investment into a company, or there's always a way to get around it. There's always a loophole.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the article that you've linked to here could be a case in point. I mean, I haven't read it and I wasn't familiar with this beforehand, but
I'll post the article.
I've got it up, but I just haven't been able to read through it because we're on air. But the very fact that a company is doing what it's doing in this case, like a Korean internet firm is running an ICO in Japan to try and
it does seem to be that way. I mean, but we are going to see that this is going to happen more often. Exchanges being based in Malta and Gibraltar and Barbados, all these kind of things.
I mean, to be fair, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It could just be that you think about it. You could get a bunch of guys who set up a company and have what is an absolutely barnstorming idea and decide to do it via the ICO route. And it could be bulletproof and it could be great. Now, it just could be that they want to strike while the iron's hot and they want to get out there, and therefore doing it in a different region where where the barriers aren't in place is a way that they can get out there rather than being
maybe
stymied
12
so
months of
there can be completely legitimate reasons for that, but I think the problem is, as somebody just pointed out in the chat.
Yeah, Vladimir said that.
Yeah. The trouble is, the ICO has become it's become synonymous with nonsense, basically, hasn't it? And so it's going to take a bit of a reinvention for people to kind of.
Yeah, I just saying that any mention of the ICO and everyone runs away. Runs. It's true though. I mean, I was the same. Like, one of the first kind of decisions I made on my channel was I can't review coins with ICOs because I can't tell the scams from the good ones. You know, and they were like 90% scams. So, and when you look at the websites, you just, because effectively with an ICO, you're really just investing money on a promise.
Yeah, it's faith.
Essentially, nothing is, most of the time they don't even have a wallet developed and you're handing over money.
I mean, I looked at a bunch when I first got into the game. I actually looked superficially at ICOs. Just seemed like potentially a great way to sort of coin it in, no pun intended. And I looked at a whole bunch of them, and a lot of the time, the idea itself was really quite good and quite solid. But I think the problem is I don't share the belief that ICO equals scam, because I think there's probably a minority of ICOs are just out and out scams trying to get the money. I think the problem with ICOs, and it's probably true with a lot of cryptocurrencies at large, is that they're quite well-meaning. It's just that either they're not really trying to do anything game-changing and therefore they're not going to get anywhere, or they're just essentially doing something which somebody else is doing very similar and somebody else is doing very similar, and you just end up with a lot of duplication and replication. And it's really a need.
I mean, as certainly from the ones that I looked at, there did seem to be, most of them were scams or looked like scams to me, but I think that was more to do with not because legitimate businesses were using ICOs, because it is a legitimate way to fund the business. I think it was just because all the scammers, all the multi-level marketing guys, they looked at ICOs and it was a quick and easy way to get money in quick without actually having anything. All you had to do was throw up a $10 website design and that was it. There you go, put a little countdown clock and that's it. You've got people doing it, but you're doing it on a promise. It comes down to it as well. Ideas are important, but implementation is more important. And you can write anything you want in a white paper. We're going to do this. We're going to, we saw that, what was that stupid scammy thing I reviewed recently, the Q network or the payment queue, whatever.
Oh God help us.
It didn't even explain how it criticized every other cryptocurrency, and then
fiat's crap, cryptocurrency's crap, the world's crap, we're going to make it great. How exactly? Like, well, what it is, if you just sign up and get 10 people to sign up, sorry, mate, I've seen that gag before. Tell me the one about the rabbi, the priest, and the flipping, and the imam, if you like. The thing is, actually, if you think about it logically, if ICOs were from the word go nothing but crap and scams, then arguably the whole idea never would have got off the ground. I think the reason why so many ICOs got big and why so many people were scammed is because there were quite a lot of them around, which but were very legitimate and did look very solid and did look very professional. And so therefore it became a space, like you just said, it became a space that became very easy for scammers to move into, because they were sort of benefiting from the sort of the kudos of other companies. A lot of those ICOs, you only had to look at them and you could see their board and you could see the CEO, and they had a lot of the times they had some pretty sort of impressive people with impressive track records behind them, and you look at that and you think, well, I'm sorry, I don't think that's a scam. It might not amount to much, but
this is
enough thing. But of course they profited from the fact that it became difficult to differentiate the really good stuff from the crap stuff.
But the thing is as well, I've just been following tech news over the years. There's a lot of important people in the industry who will lend their name and be a consultant or be an investor or be something to a project, and essentially sell their integrity and their reputation for a quick buck. And there's a lot of tech companies like funded by this.
Reminds me of that old great Groucho Marx line, where he says, "These are my principles, and if you don't like them, well, I have others."
That's very apt. But I mean, a lot of the time it's not on purpose. Like, who was the guy that sold Essential Phone? Now, maybe this is a bad example, but the Essential Phone came out the other year. And I reviewed it on my other channel, and this was an Android phone, super expensive, like $1,000, $800,000, and it had this stupid phone modular system. But it was launched by the ex-head of Google or Google something. I'll probably be able to find this. But it was the guy that developed Android, I think it was. Right. Who was it created by? Andy Rubin, one of the creators of Android. Okay. So this guy had a fantastic reputation and all that. And it was launched, and the reviews came out, and this thing was buggy as hell. The hardware wasn't working right and all that. And one of the things I kept saying was, listen, it doesn't matter if this guy was the ex-head of Android. This is a brand new company that doesn't have 10 or 20 years of manufacturing experience or updates and all that kind of thing. And
well, exactly, yeah.
Why weren't they launched at a super low price point? But it's amazing how much weight a reputation can, carry a project forward. That phone was launched, and it launched with huge fanfare because the guy was the ex-head of Android or one of the main developers. Yeah. And I'm sure it'd be the same if, Elon Musk put his name to anything, or
exactly,
or even, how do you pronounce the name? The guy from Ethereum, Buterin.
Vitalik.
Yeah. If he put his name to anything, a new IC or new, everyone would invest because of him.
Yeah.
But there's still a risk.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. Imagine, a few years into the massive renaissance that Apple had when Steve Jobs was basically walking on water. He could have left Apple and gone and set up the most absurd, ludicrous crap thing, and the amount of venture capital he would have attracted would have been mental, because people would have just thought, well, the guy is, he's the tech Jesus, he's got the golden touch, he can do no wrong.
He still had the golden touch at that point, though, didn't he? Set up, was it Next? He set up.
I think that's what he set up after he had left Apple the first time. But
but you're right, it could have went the other way.
But the Next OS was effectively the thing that became Mac OS 10, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he kind of brought that back with the company. But
but that was that not based on Unix or something, or?
Yeah, it's basically based on Unix, isn't it? Unix with a kind of a a bit of sugar and spice.
Yeah, a bit more user friendly.
Well, actually, Crypto in the comments has just made an interesting point, which is about rent-to-own ASICs with firmware that pays for the machine.
Flashing the machine that disables the firmware would void the contract, allowing the manufacturer to turn the machine off.
I think right now, any kind of like domestic level mining, unless you've got free or as good as free electricity.
Yeah, like 2.5, 3 cents per kilowatt.
Yeah, it's basically just makes the whole thing kind of, hello, Roderick. It makes the whole thing a kind of a moot point. But yeah, I would say that certainly in a market which is kind of back on its feet again and sort of heading in the right direction, that's not necessarily a bad idea. I mean, for me, I think one of the biggest kind of problems, well, two biggest problems with ASICs are I don't particularly like Bitmain and their business model, frankly, and B, they're just too noisy. Now, I'm sure certainly the second of those things could probably be resolved.
You could. The one that I saw, I think I did it in a live stream in Vegas, is they had it in this basically a box with fans, but it was silent, completely silent. And then you opened up the box, it was all soundproofed, and they had an ASIC miner running.
Sorry, did you? That's the thing you featured when you were in Vegas, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was, but it was, it was quite impressive. I mean, don't get me wrong, the box was big and all that, but if you wanted to keep it at home, there are like soundproofing solutions that would work as long as you exhaust the heat.
Yeah.
Jason says he has in a hydro tent.
Did he buy that off Michael Jackson, or am I thinking of something else?
Jonathan posted a comment there. Neo is using their funding to fund other projects such as Ontology.
Yeah.
What was it? I saw some. I've not really read about it. I saw some articles about Neo, and they were saying it was centralized or something. There seems to be some debate about that. See if I can find it on Reddit. Neo core developer. So yeah, there's a couple of articles about it. Neo core developer counters false fear, uncertainty, doubt that was spread in the subreddit yesterday by pseudo journalists. Right.
It's funny actually, because Neo is one of those coins. When I was earlier in the year, sort of reading about it, and I found it quite intriguing. But I didn't buy any of it. And then when everything sort of fell down to what appeared to be kind of its lowest level, I sort of took a little bit of a punt on Neo, purely on the basis that yes, I know it's got its detractors, but I thought, well, it's Chinese. and it's subsequently just fallen further. So
it's hard to call out.
But I haven't.
Well, that's the thing. You think you've hit the bottom, and then it crashes more, and then you've hit the bottom, and then it crashes more.
And you think it's not. I am buying the bottom now, but it's not. You can only buy the bottom of the time machine, really. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I know. That's why I hear all these people at Shell Coins, and they say, "Oh, I sold at the all-time high, and I bought the dip." And come on, we've all lost money here.
Absolute bollocks. Yeah.
I'd say Bitmain killed crypto, oversaturated all the mining algos.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I think Bitmain has got an awful lot to answer for, because I do think that were it not for the entry of the ASICs, I do think that, well, whether we'd be in a substantially different position right now in December 2018 is debatable. But I think, but frankly, I don't think things would have fallen off a cliff as much as they did. I think there would have been a slightly longer tail. But
their investing strategy with Bitcoin Cash and that whole thing is just bizarre, the way that they've kind of got involved in it all.
Yeah.
Was it Jihan Wu you call the guy?
Yeah.
Jihan Wu, is that guy's name? On that subject, actually, one of the other things that I'd brought up to talk about, I was actually going to do a dedicated video about this because I thought it was interesting during the whole Bitcoin Cash and the Bitcoin Cash ABC and Bitcoin Cash SV. During that whole time, there was another fork called Bitcoin Stash, and it didn't really get any attention at the time. I was going to do a video about it just because I thought it was funny that there was another one sneaking out there.
Bitcoin.
I don't know if you've got. Can you see it? I'll post a link to this here. I don't think this is going to get any kind of momentum. I just thought it was funny that, through that whole debate when everyone was arguing, they kind of quietly launched in the background. So it's a hard fork of Bitcoin Cash. We provided the solution through merged mining with Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. I mean,
I like the little logo. I don't know if that's something specific to Movember or whether that's a permanent logo.
Yeah. That would make sense. It makes sense.
I'll give them that. The logo's quite innovative.
It says here, as of 1 a.m. GMT, we are 235.5% over EBC hash. Is this like a joke website? It could be. Honestly, I've not done enough research on it yet.
I'm not sure whether giving the name Stash to anything.
It could be a joke.
Like someone's having a laugh at your expense.
But that's the thing, I've been wrong before about all this. See when I started mining Ravencoin, I remember a lot of people went and said, start mining Pigeon Coin. I'm like, Pigeon Coin?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
This is a joke, surely. And then I saw the Bitcoin Talk announcement, but even at that point, they didn't have a website. I'm like, this seems like a meme or something.
Yeah, it seemed like someone was having a laugh, didn't it? Really. I don't know. It's just, I think you'd have to say if there is one. I'm not going to be the first person to make this point, but if there is one benefit of this massive bear market, is that with a bit of luck, it will act like a rain and wash out a lot of this crap. Because God only knows it needs to be done.
Yeah, I don't think we'll have any sympathy for all the shit projects.
Too much nonsense. Too much nonsense, really.
But I think that's the good thing about all this is that you will see a lot of projects dying, but a part of you understand it and you empathise and all that, and then a part of you goes, excuse my French, but fuck them. You know what I mean? Yeah. If they're going to die, let them die, and let all the legitimate projects get ahead, because all the legitimate projects are still developing. They're still working on things. They're still trying to get things improved.
Well, the thing is, I suppose you could argue that when there's a real serious kind of, rain or piece of turbulence, there's a chance that some decent or legitimate things might, sort of go by the wayside as well. Depends on your point of view, and
you could lose good developers that just leave crypto because they're sick of it and all that as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Yeah. But then there's the kind of the sort of the ultra
hit and run.
Well, there's the sort of the ultra sort of belief in the market, which is that, for example, something that we keep referring back to quite often is the .com bubble.
Yeah.
Maybe, if you look at an example of that, there was a lot of good stuff. There was a lot of crap. And then the .com bubble went bang. And, from those ashes arose the likes of Amazon, eBay, etc.
But see the whole Bitcoin bubble thing, I think it's kind of remembered differently than what it felt like at the time.
Oh, the dot-com bubble, yeah.
Yeah, because like I mean, I started creating websites in 2000, so I was always following things like that in the news because it was relevant. And I remember they talked about a lot of these big companies dying, and there was like one of them I remember there was like a shoe company, and they launched with like half a like 500 million. It was like $500 million. So they had like $500 million worth of funding, and it was just a shit shop, and they sold like 100 different products, and that was it. And you're like, no wonder this thing failed. Why would you throw $500 million at something? It was just a scam more than anything else.
Yeah, I think well, whenever there's a kind of a boom in something, a Klondike, as it were, that's inevitable. You're always going to get that. I mean, I recently had a little bit of a kind of a back and forth with a few of my mates about crypto. Yeah. And inevitably, the dot-com bubble is brought up, and inevitably the sort of the poster child for that was pets.com. Now, like there are plenty of bad examples of stuff, but what needs to be borne in mind about that era was that, for example, with retailers, they were trying to sell stuff in an era where, by and large, people were just not buying stuff online anything like in the way they are now. And for example, people always remember pets.com, and a lot of these companies attracting all this venture capital and how stupid they were and all the rest of it. Yeah, but having said that, have a look at zooplus.com, a pan-European website selling pet stuff with a market capitalization of over €1 billion and a share price of 150 odd euro. I mean, are they doing anything substantially different? Not really. The difference is in 2018, you can make a business of selling, pet supplies and stuff online in a way that in 2000 you couldn't really.
Yeah.
That's one of the major differences, as much as anything else. And as you say, I do think there's an element of revisionism. When you've got history, people tend to look at it in a different way and say, oh yes, well, we always knew that Amazon was going to do great and eBay was going to do great and all this. And you think, well, actually, I don't think you did, because I remember reading an article about Amazon actually sometime in the early 2000s, and it absolutely slammed Amazon and said, this is a basket case of a business. If you look at its profitability, because at that point, I still think it was losing money, and it lost money year on year on year. And then it was actually quite a big story.
Amazon still focusing on books at that point, wasn't it? It was still predominantly a book company.
They were forever branching out, but they spent a good number of their formative years losing quite substantial amounts of money. And then it got to a point when they were sort of breaking even, making an operational profit. And I think it was around about that time I remember reading this article, and it gave them a real kick in and said, Amazon, this is a basket case of a business. If you look at their profitability relative to their turnover, this can't have a future. It's unsustainable, and just calling it all manner of everything. And you look at them now, and everyone recognizes the sort of the power that it has and how big it is. And there's an element of revisionism where people are going back and saying, oh, well, yeah, we always knew the likes of Amazon and eBay and Facebook and everything were going to do well. Actually, no, turn the clock back 15 years ago. I think you find you didn't. I don't think anybody knew at that point who was going to do well and who wasn't.
I think this is something. I think this is something that's perhaps always went on as far as revision. I mean, it's probably normally associated with history and politics, as far as you know, the people who win the war dictate what the agenda is and all that. Right. But I've noticed that I saw in a YouTube video recently. I actually left a comment on it, and it was about, I can't remember if it was the Saturn or the Sega Dreamcast. It was one of those, and the guy went on. The guy was like 21, right? So obviously, I bought it when I was like, I don't know, like 19 or whatever age I was when it came out.
Dreamcast was like early 2000s, wasn't it, if I remember correctly? Oh no, it was 99, 2000. It was the same generation as the PS2 and all that. Because
I had the Saturn, and then I had the Dreamcast. I had the PlayStation and all that as well. But I remember at the time, the guy basically focused on the fact that gamers were not looking forward to it. Gamers realised it wasn't a good deal. I'm like, I remember every magazine and everyone talking about the Dreamcast and how good it was at 2D gaming and all this. And I had friends that had it. I'm like, maybe in his small part of the world, but chances are he's just like basically paraphrasing what's written on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
And just making it up and revising it. And then, but the thing is, when you think about it now, because he's the one putting that content out on YouTube and the people my age aren't, it's kind of revising history and saying that, it was a failure because of lots of the reasons he was saying it failed one. I'm just like, that's just made up. It's just simply not the case.
As I understand it, the main problem with that was the fact that you had a Sega Saturn and you had the PlayStation, which were broadly similar, albeit the PlayStation was slightly easier to develop on. Ultimately, the PlayStation was the thing that got the critical mass. Sega wisely opted to get the Dreamcast out ahead of their competitors, because a lot of the time that's sometimes what dictates the success. Is if you get out of the gate first and you build a momentum, it becomes really difficult to catch up. And they got out ahead of the PS2, but unfortunately, it wasn't that there was anything wrong with the Dreamcast. It was more that a lot of people were just waiting for the PS2. So therefore, it suffered on that basis, really.
I think one of the biggest ones as well, though, because the Dream, I've actually got it upstairs and I've still got the original system. The biggest problem with the biggest problem with the Dreamcast, I think, is that it was based on Windows CE. It was so bloody easy to get hacked games for it. So I started off, I had like 10, 15 original games like Soul Calibur and all that. And then me and my friend would go into the markets in Glasgow and we would just buy copy games for like £2 each. And it obviously hurt the sales. I don't normally buy copy games.
Shouldn't be admitting this live on air, Kev.
Well, that's the thing, but
Dalek's going to burst out the cupboards and nick you.
Yeah, I know. But it was so popular. Everyone was doing it at the time. It wasn't like a PlayStation, you had to chip it. We're kind of going off topic here again, but as we do. But there are parallels to be drawn, in the tech world as to what's happening in cryptocurrency as well, though. I do think there are.
Although as has been pointed out a few times recently, if you look at the size of the dot-com bubble at its biggest, circa 2000, it was in the order of trillions, whereas the cryptocurrency market, even at its peak last December, only managed to get to something like 800 and something billion. So actually the dot-com bubble, as it was, arguably was a genuine bubble and was a huge thing. Whereas I don't even know whether you could even call it. I mean, basically, Bitcoin going up to $20,000 as quick as it did was obviously completely crazy. But
obviously there was a lot of manipulation as well.
It was a ridiculous bull run, but I don't think it necessarily makes it a bubble. I don't think I'd call crypto a bubble in the same way that's like you say, you had $500 million going into people selling ridiculous pairs of shoes or whatever. I don't know that's quite the same thing.
The thing is, we're still getting. Oh, Lady Jane Fox loves the Cardiff accent.
Loves my accent. It's not often someone says that. Where are you from, Lady Jane Fox? If I may ask.
I'll set yous up. Gotta go, guys. No bother, Jason. I mean, I'm actually. I would say another 15 minutes. Is that good with you, Norliss?
Yeah. Thanks for the input, Jason. I wish you all the best with those Acorn cards. I really hope they deliver on the software. It's a bit of a poor show.
It'd be good to get you on, Jason, to talk about that. I hope I wasn't too critical about it. It's one of those things that I was kind of rooting for the company, but at the same time, as a consumer, I just couldn't get the numbers to work for those Acorns. It just seemed way too expensive for what you were getting. But
Lady Jane Fox is from London. Oh well,
there you go.
Quite close by, relatively speaking. I wouldn't want to walk there, but compared with like some of the locations of some listeners and viewers in this.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people from the States, a lot of people from Asia.
Yes.
I was looking at the Bitcoin Stash FAQ page, and it says Bitcoin Stash is a hard fork of Bitcoin Cash to combat the interests of the Bitcoin Cash leaders. You know what? That actually makes me want to get behind this project. You know what I mean? Because that is what everyone's against. It says it offers relay
a fork
protection.
Of a fork of a fork of a fork.
Yep.
Of a spoon of a knife of a pen knife of a spoon of a fork. So it just gets absurd, doesn't it? Really.
But there's no. It says there's no pre-mine. It's decentralized. Do you have a white paper? We'll be using the original white paper. Right. So kind of not. I don't think they've got any momentum, but it's kind of interesting that I like the fact that when they were all fighting, someone just went, get it round you. Well, we're going to do something completely different. We're going to fork so that none of you guys can.
Well, I'm not a lover of tashes per se, but the fact that they put a tash on there,
we should get behind this.
I don't know whether that's it's a Movember thing and they've just forgotten to take it off.
Yeah,
because now it's
I mean, stash makes sense. Mustache. Christopher Doyle was saying Bitcoin is down to 3,800. I've got about 3,900 there, but it does seem to. Let me see. How do you get this down to like? So it's got there. It's just went down all at once there. So
it's been a dump, is it?
Yeah, it looks like there's been a dump.
Do you know, I actually had the idea. As a rule, swing trading is not something I can be bothered with, right? But I was looking a couple of nights ago at my most recent purchases of Bitcoin, because I've just been trying to. Well, I was buying dips, but then effectively I was just buying falling knives for a period of a week. But anyway, and I looked at it and I thought, well, it looks like it's heading back up a little bit now. So I had this idea. I know what I'll do. I'll send the last 3 trades of what I've bought to Coinbase. I'll set a sell order. I'll sell it, and then I'll take that along with some other fiat, and then I'll only now buy when it really just hits the buffers price-wise. But of course, the kiss of death being as it is, I did it. It actually managed to get within €7 of the selling point before then tumbling down, and now it is basically been a pointless exercise because, well, it's further away from that selling point than it has been before. So I don't know.
I mean, I think it's hard to. I don't know. I think it's very hard to predict what's going to happen right now. It's so volatile and so.
I mean, it doesn't make that much difference. It just means that a bit of Bitcoin that was previously on a Ledger Nano is now sat in Coinbase, and I thought, well,
yeah, I suppose, yeah.
I'll just make a very quick slight profit before catching it further down. But that's not going to happen, is it, by the look of it?
Well, looking at Coinbase just now, Christopher recommended going to Coinbase Pro. It's sitting about $3,822. Do you guys normally use that and see the trading view? Is that what?
I tend to, because I've been on TradingView and it is really good. I know a lot of YouTubers use TradingView and it's very impressive, drawing all the little wedges and triangles and stuff. Well, I can't be bothered signing up for it really. And what I found was I was having to play with it, and then it's just sort of timed out on me and said, "Sorry, son, you're gonna have to sign up for this if you want to continue playing." And I'm not that into it. I don't want to sit there, drawing wedges and talking about stochastic RSI and bull pens and bear pen.
I mean, I want to learn more about it just so that I can actually get a better understanding of what people are talking about. But yeah, I've talked about this a lot. As far as there's a lot of people on Twitter especially that are kind of just guessing.
Do you know what a lot of TA reminds?
No one's calling them out.
A lot of TA reminds me of, you get these people who just love conspiracy theories. I mean, the ultimate example of this is there's a film called Room 237, and what it's about is a documentary all about conspiracy theories which they think are buried in the Stanley Kubrick film The Shining. Now, there's like 1 or 2 of them in there which you could probably say, well, okay, I could possibly see some sort of logic in that, like a change in color of the beetle and it being him sticking his 2 fingers up to Stephen King, etc. But some of them are so absolutely absurd. I'm thinking to myself, you're just seeing things you want to be there, and you're bending what you're seeing just to fit this theory. And a lot of TA,
you see, there's a lot of things like that on YouTube where they talk about theories about the real meaning of films and all that, and a lot of it is a big stretch.
Yeah. If you look at this, we've got this level of support, and we've got this, and we've got that, and there's all these people putting out video after video about why 6,000 is going to be the bottom. I mean, it may not be, but it almost certainly will be, and I can't see it. And we're going to have a breakout, and they kept picking this point out in time as to when we're going to have this breakout. And what actually happened, it sailed past that and continued to go sideways, which was,
but then they've probably got an explanation of why that happened as well.
Oh, well, the reason that's happened is because the volume's low. And you think, well, hang on a minute, but that's not what you were saying.
That's not what you said before.
And then we've reached the bottom. We've definitely reached the bottom. We've definitely reached the bottom. I mean, okay, it could go lower. They cover themselves with that, but then say, but I think we've reached the bottom and it's going to be a break to the upside. And then what happens one day in whatever it was, a month ago, the arse falls out of it, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And we're there. And the same people who are claiming that it's a great time to load up on Bitcoin now because it's 6,000 and 6,500 seems like the bottom, and now saying, well, the trouble is, I think it could go to 3,000, might go 2,500. You're thinking, hang on a minute, basically on the basis of 1 or 2 days in the market, you've completely changed. You've taken a pickaxe to your entire kind of theory.
But that's the thing, they're not getting called out for it enough, I don't think.
No, and the sad thing is, they do caveat it and say, look, do your own research, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of people pay a lot of attention. If you've got a YouTube channel where you dissect markets and you throw in all the various bits of terminology and theories, and you talk about bull pennants and bear pennants and stochastic RSI and this level of support and that level of support, there's going to be a lot of people, especially people who are new in the game, who think, wow, this guy really knows what he's on about. And so they're going to follow that. And it's easy for you to say, well, don't follow, people will follow it. And then I bet there's a hell of a lot of resentment, a lot of those guys, to be honest.
I mean, call me critical, but I realize there are serious people that are good at this, and they probably do it for large investment firms, and they can make a lot of money from it. But if you're on social media and you're telling people how to do TA, shouldn't you be able to turn $1,000 into $2,000 every month, 10,000 into 20,000, 20,000 into 100,000? Surely you can apply what you're telling everyone else and apply it to your own, investment, your own portfolio. And if you know the way the market is going to go, surely you can make a couple of $100 here, a couple of $100 there all the time. And maybe I'm being a little bit too over.
No, let's call it as we see it. I see a lot of these people, and they're on there saying, "Oh, sign up for my course. I'll do this course." And
that's the thing.
Hang on a minute. What is your credentials for me to hand over money for you to teach this?
Exactly. That's the thing.
If I want to learn about market analysis, there are probably people out there who could probably teach you a lot. But then, even then, they're probably the first to say, well, the trouble is that the cryptocurrency market is an emergent market. It's so small. A lot of the rules that maybe apply for traditional markets don't necessarily apply for cryptocurrency. Very few people saw that massive dump from 3 weeks ago coming. Very few people. That's caught a lot of people out.
Yeah,
so,
definitely. I know, I do agree with that. That's like me launching a channel saying how to get your YouTube channel to 100,000 subscribers. I'm like, I've got 4,000. I'm not in a position to tell anyone that. And I do think, you see it a lot in the marketing world as well. It's, fake it until you make it. You try and preach that you're this expert and all that, despite I've seen people, and they've literally threw up their website 2 months before and they didn't have anything, they weren't involved online at all. And then they're calling themselves experts and gurus and influencers and all these other fancy terms to describe themselves, which is fucking arrogant in the first place.
The biggest influencer of me is me.
Exactly.
I genuinely wish it wasn't, but that's the sad truth. I think it's what some people do is a little bit on the shameful side, really, as far as technical analysis is concerned.
If
I was doing that and I'd been doing some of that stuff, I probably would go into hibernation for a while because I'd find it difficult to kind of,
But they don't know, it's kind of the bread and butter. Fred's saying there's an awful lot of really bad TA on YouTube, Twitter.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, Fred. I mean, when you're watching it, it seems quite good because they know all the buzzwords. But then, ultimately, how accurate are they? The people who are professionals who do technical analysis on markets for a living, I bet you there's probably not one of those who's doing YouTube videos. They're in their place in
is it in their interest to share that knowledge?
Well, exactly.
Because I know that there are some websites now that are encouraging people to share their growth and all that, and you can just that's what was the name of that? That's one of the coolest things I've actually checked the last few months. I need to revisit that. What was the name of it? It's like a portfolio management website that connects to the Binance API and a few other exchanges. And
Didn't you review something like that once?
Yeah. I can't remember what was the name of it, but I need to actually revisit that. I want to stick like $100 in Binance and then just follow someone who's like had a track record of 6 months of always making money and just follow whatever they're doing. But that's still at a small level. If you're making, if you get millions in the bank, why would you share that knowledge with anyone unless you're getting paid?
I think it's probably worth saying that a lot of people who deal with like portfolios and huge amounts of money, they're going to be doing it. They're not just going to be doing it with experience, but they're going to be doing it with knowledge that you and I will never have. Yeah. So the reason why they bought a load of that stock at $1 and it's now gone to $10 is because they knew that it was going to be acquired by Apple or whatever. You and I don't know that. Yeah. And so there's an awful lot. It's not insider trading necessarily, but it's certainly insider knowledge.
Jonathan's saying Ty Lopez has been advertising again. Well, that means we're entering a bull run, does it not? Does that not mean we're entering a bull run?
Yeah, I was going to say normally whenever there's a kind of a sudden sort of tidal wave of bell ends like that, it's usually when things are on the up. And they tend to disappear when the going gets bad because there's no market for them.
I know.
Trevon, what's his name? Trevon James, is it?
Those guys. I don't know how.
But again, I mean, the thing is, these people wouldn't do so well if people weren't taken in by it. It's easy for slightly more sort of cynical, weather-beaten people of our age just to look at them and laugh. But a lot of people do get taken in by it.
There's a large percentage of people that just they let greed take over common sense, and they'll fall for these scams. Will always work. They will. You see them on Facebook a lot. All these multi-level marketing pyramid scams, and they do work. And
Connect is the classic example. And now we've got this initiative nonsense, which has got
all these ones. It's all if it's too good to be true, it is. They're always going to be around. They're always going to be around. So absolutely. I think this is a good time to tie it up. Norliss, what do you think?
Yes, it could be, couldn't it?
Well, thanks for coming on, Norliss, and keeping me company.
No worries. Always a pleasure. At least we kind of covered the items in the agenda.
Actually, I was quite proactive today as far as getting news there.
Yeah, it helps, doesn't it? Often. Admittedly, we probably didn't give each thing necessarily the equal amount of attention, but
we covered a lot of different things. Definitely covered a lot of things. Thanks for taking part, guys, as always. Thanks for commenting. Thanks to Norliss, of course. Need to get you on again. We need to get you a webcam, mate. Need to get you a
webcam. Oh, good grief, no. That means I'd have to tidy my room up and get my hair cut.
Big green screen. We'll get a balaclava for you.
I could be like Phone Jack, couldn't I? I could just put on a balaclava and a pair of sunglasses.
Yeah, we'll need to get some of you other guys on as well, guys. We'll need to get like 4 or 5 of us on.
Yeah, it'd be good to put a sort of a voice to some of these. I mean, a lot of these people who participate in these streams, they do it quite regularly, and I recognise the names. And I always sort of, you build a mental picture as to what they're like. I mean, we haven't had Joseph Oxley here today. He's normally
Joseph's now on. Actually, Goose has just arrived as well. Yeah.
Hello,
thanks
Goose.
for dropping by, Goose. Sorry, I'm actually just finishing the stream after 2 hours. Yeah. Sorry, bad timing.
Goose, your videos on Awesome Miner were awesome. They were the things that sort of got me onto it. And although mining is now sort of sadly completely behind us, I say us as in Kevin and I, as opposed to us as in the globe, because everyone's circumstances are different. But they were great and they were very thorough, and I really enjoyed using Awesome Miner. They made mining much more of a pleasure than it otherwise would have been. So high five to you for that, virtually.
Well, it's good timing, Goose, because I'm speaking to Goose tomorrow.
You're doing an interview with Goose?
Yeah, I'm doing. Well, cool. I don't know if we're doing a live stream. I don't know if are we doing pre-recording, Goose. I'm not sure how Goose is going to record it, but give Goose a subscribe, guys, if you've not already subscribed. But I'll be on his channel tomorrow. So if I'm not streaming here tomorrow,
you're doing it on away turf then, Kev?
Yeah, it's an away game tomorrow.
It's an away game. Remember, though, away goals count double.
Yeah, that's true. So check out Goose's website. I'll be on Goose's website tomorrow, so it'll be good to chat to Goose.
You should try and get Seth Estrada on sometime as well.
I'll need to get Seth. I'll need to get Seth on as well, and I'll need to jump onto Seth's channel at one point as well. Sorry you couldn't make it to the end, Goose. It's just bad timing. I realise you're in the USA. I'll likely do a video of the latest version of Awesome Miner.
Yeah, you see,
that's
unlike...
the thing that...
Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, on you go.
No, I was just going to say, unlike the boxing where we have to stay up into the middle of the night to watch fights from the west coast of America, I'm not sure I can stomach doing streams at 4 o'clock in the morning for the benefit of North American viewers.
Well, I think I'm going to chat to Goose about, was it 2 o'clock in the afternoon? I think UK time, so it's actually quite a good time for anyone in the UK and Europe.
It's not too bad. It's kind of equidistant, isn't it? So presumably that's like sort of early morning for Goose. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's maybe not the best time.
Goose, somewhere in the sort of central area, or are you on one of the coasts?
I think he's 6 hours behind me, Goose. Is that right? So we're going to be talking about a number of different topics. So
cool. I should be able to join you on that one, actually.
Yeah.
I don't mean join you. I mean just watch the video. That's what I mean.
Well, I'm not sure if it's. I'm not sure. I'll leave it to Goose. I'm not sure if we're going to do like a pre-recorded video when he uploads it, or if it's a live stream. I was trying to encourage him to do a live stream because, in my opinion, it saves a lot of editing and messing about afterwards. It just it's online and it saves you a lot of hassle. Right. So thanks again to everyone who's watching. I'll try and get Goose on the channel one day as well. We'll do a live stream in the future, but open invitation to anyone who's been watching. Jump on the stream with myself. As long as you're not a
scammy, shilling, racist idiot.
None of my subscribers would be like that.
No, you've got a very. I have to say, you've got a very. I've been on a few. Sorry, I know we're trying to wrap this up, but I just want to add this.
No, it's okay.
Addendum. I've been on a few streams, and a lot of the time, There's a lot of people watching, so kudos to them for pulling in those numbers. But the chat is painful. It's just like machine gun comments, of which a huge percentage of them are just doing nothing other than just saying, you know,
Send me
Ripple
money.
for the win,
Yeah,
or something, or whatever their favorite coin is. And then people just coming out with really ridiculous stuff, like using a cryptocurrency discussion as a route by which to kind of bash like Islam or black people or whatever. And
it's just
what
bizarre.
on earth is wrong with you people? But we do
get that from time to time.
Bots,
we do get that from time to time, but
yeah,
I would say that, I don't know, maybe I'll just make up a guesstimate and make up a number, but I think it maybe it's 60, 70, more than half of the people who watch my channel and comment probably know more than me, you know, with regards to mining and all that. I'm quite lucky. I've got a lot of knowledgeable people who watch my channel and you know, correct me and, you know, post news and all that. So I'm quite lucky in that regard. I'm glad I don't have a channel where, you know, I did get it a little bit at the start, you know, check out this coin, it's great, and then it's just someone, and then they'll post in a forum, hey, I posted it on Kev's crypto channel, you know, give me my free tokens and things like that. But
well, you've had a few vids which attracted a fair share of controversy, like why you were getting out of mining and stuff. That got a bit of drew a bit of ire, but you know, they always would, wouldn't it? At least you didn't have death threats or anything ridiculous like that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful world of crypto and YouTube. You know, you're going to get highs and lows.
Yes.
But we'll leave it at that, guys. Thanks again, Norliss. I do appreciate you dropping by, mate. And stay tuned for tomorrow. I'll be on Goose's channel. And hopefully we can get Goose on in the future at one point as well. But check out Goose's channel. I've left a link there, but I'll leave a link in the description area as well. So, yeah, thanks, Norliss. And I'll speak to you all very soon.
All the best, guys.
Cheers, guys.